What's up, YouTube? My name is Anthony Musumeci. RancidFIT, that's what I go by. I'm gonna be starting a video log about fitness, health, and nutrition. I'll allow myself to introduce myself. Like I said, my name is Anthony Musumeci. I used to be 260 pounds of pure fat. I was made fun of, I was picked on, I was unhappy with myself, I constantly looked in the mirror every day, was very upset with how I looked. So what did I do? I made a change, because that's what you do when you're unhappy, you make a change. I started eating right, I started lifting weight, I started exercising, being proud of myself. Before you knew it, I'm 160 pounds, I've lost 100 pounds, and I feel better than ever. Today's topic is if it fits your macros. I'm sure you've heard a lot of bullshit information about if it fits your macros. I'm sure you've heard a lot of conflicting information, a lot of confusing information. So I'm going to do my best to simplify what it means to follow an if it fits your macros style diet. First off, if it fits your macros, let's examine that acronym. IIFYM. What's a macro? That's the most common question. What the fuck are macros? Well, macros are proteins, fats, and carbs. I'm not going to get into the micronutrients because that is not what this topic is about. I'm going to be talking to you about the three main big ones: protein, fats, and carbs. I'm sure you've all heard those terms. I'm sure you're all familiar with those terms. If it fits your macros means eating each day to fulfill your macronutrient needs. Now, I require 160 grams of protein a day because that is how much I weigh, and I'm a strong believer in consuming 1 gram of protein per body weight a day. You will hear a lot of bullshit about eating 3 grams of protein per body weight a day, and that is going to do jack shit. Those are supplement companies putting that information out there, so you buy their protein to hit that goal. It's unrealistic, it's untrue, it is unnecessary. 1 gram. 1 gram per body weight a day is all you need to preserve and build your muscle mass. So my macros for the day, it comes to about 80 grams of fat, 200 grams of carbs, and 160 grams of protein. That is going to be your pyramid. Carbs, protein, fat. That is the basic level of importance, especially when it comes to bulking on if it fits your macros. If it fits your macros is just that lifestyle of hitting your macronutrients each day. Like I said, your proteins, your fats, and your carbs. The easiest way to do this is by downloading MyFitnessPal. It is probably the best calorie counting app that I have found personally. It has a giant food inventory of just about every single food you can find, and if you can't find the food that you're looking for, it even has a built-in barcode scanner. So there's absolutely no excuses as to why you can't count your calories. You don't have to walk around with a scale anymore. You don't have to write down the calorie content of each foods anymore. It's all on your smartphone, which you know damn fucking well that you have on you at all times. With that being said, how do you start if it fits your macros? Well, just like any diet, first, what's your goal? Is your goal to lose fat? Is your goal to maintain? Or is your goal to gain muscle? That spectrum, that's the basic. That is the end-all, be-all. Those are your 3 goals. There's no other goals except for those 3. You either lose fat, maintain, or gain lean body mass. Now, how do you lose weight on if it fits your macros? Well, first, you have to figure out your caloric maintenance. How the fuck do you do that? Unfortunately, it's due to trial and error. There are online calculators that you can use. You plug in any information it asks you, and it will give you a rough estimate of how many calories you need each day to maintain. That is considered your maintenance calories. How many calories you must consume in one day to maintain your current weight. For most people, that's about 2,000, which is why you see on a lot of nutrition facts, based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet, that just tends to be the average. Me, I'm 5'10", 160 pounds. I do not need 4,000 calories a day to maintain. I only need about 2,000 calories a day to maintain. So once you figure out your caloric maintenance by using one of those calculators and playing with your calories each and every day to determine how many calories you eat to maintain your weight, you must be in a caloric deficit to lose weight. Now, how do you get into a calorie deficit? Well, it's very simple. you just reduce your calories for the day. I mean, that's what a deficit is, or a deficient. I'm probably saying it wrong. I don't care. Either way, how do you figure out how many calories you have to eat to lose weight? Well, figure out your maintenance. Once you get that down, you're going to want to subtract about 500 calories from that number and eat that many a day. So if you need 2,000 calories a day to maintain, you should be eating like 1,600 calories a day to lose weight. Now, don't forget to factor in things like cardio, things like weightlifting, even things like walking. They all reduce calories. The best way to figure out that is by getting a basically, they make these machines, this technology, which I'm sure you're very familiar with technology. It's almost like a watch, and it'll tell you how many calories on average you burn via basic daily activities like getting out of bed, going to work, walking here, walking there, so on and so forth. That's a great way to become even more accurate with how many calories you're eating a day. But back to the topic, you want to be in a calorie deficit. So normally it's about 400 to 500 calories under your maintenance. That's the safe way to do it. You don't want to be in a 1,000 calorie deficit. You don't want to be eating 1,100 calories a day. That is a great way to slow your metabolism and take your fat loss to a halt. So for instance, when I was cutting fairly recently, I was eating about 1,600 to 1,500 calories a day, and I was seeing a great steady fat loss. You do not want to go more than that, because if you lose more weight than that, chances are you're also losing muscle, which, let's be honest, the reason you're here is to preserve your muscle. So you want to stay in a tight 500 calorie deficit. Now, how do you gain weight? How do you put on muscle using If It Fits Your Macros? Well, basically, the exact opposite applies. Instead of being in a calorie deficit, you want to be in a caloric surplus. Now, I don't recommend going 500 calories over your maintenance. I don't recommend that. I recommend like 200 to 300 calories over your maintenance. So if your maintenance, like mine, is 2,000 calories a day, you want to be eating like 2,200 to 2,300 calories a day. Now, why is that number different? It's different because if you are gaining weight too quickly, chances are most of it is fat. Don't buy into the hype. Do not eat 6,000 calories a day if your body does not need it. Do not be in a 2,000 calorie surplus. Sure, anybody can put on 40 pounds in a few months, but chances are a very, very small amount of that is going to be fucking muscle, and the rest is going to be fat. And nobody wants to be fat. Don't be that guy who says, oh, I put on, 60 fucking pounds. Because chances are you're a fat ass, and a lot of the weight that you gained is not muscle. So when they cut, they're right back to square one, and they can't understand why. Well, I'll tell you why. Because you ate too much goddamn food. You want to be in a tight calorie surplus. You do not want to have an excess surplus. Your body can only gain a certain amount of muscle in X amount of time. It doesn't matter. Those are the facts. So suck it up and deal with it. There is a ceiling there. For most people, they can gain 2 pounds of muscle safely a month without putting on too much fat. Now, any calories that you eat beyond that level, they're going to be stored as fat. And that's why, contrary to popular belief, you actually have to be stricter on a bulk than you do on a cut. Because on a cut, you're always in a calorie deficit. So any excess calories you eat, chances are in a few days, it's going to balance out regardless. Now, when you're bulking, those calories are staying on you, and you do not want to have an excess surplus because those calories will be stored as fat. You want to eat the most and the little that you can at one time each day. That was probably a poor way to explain it, but you want to find that sweet spot where you're gaining muscle steadily and you're not getting too much fat so you can stay lean year round. I do not see what is so attractive about being a fat ass for 8 months just to be a machine for 4 and then to repeat and bulk again. I don't understand why that's a concept. If those are your goals, then fine. I have nothing against you. I just don't agree that that is the most optimal way. I think that if you put on 2 pounds, 1 to 2 pounds of muscle a month, granted it'll be slower, but you will be lean almost year round, which in my opinion is the goal of fitness, especially if you're training for aesthetics. If you're a power lifter, eat whatever the fuck you want. But if you're training for aesthetics, you want to be lean year round. So now that we've established calorie deficits, caloric maintenance, and calorie surpluses and what they do to your body, let me allow myself to differentiate what if it fits your macros actually means. Now, chances are, if you have been lifting for quite a while, you already know for the most part what it takes nutritionally to gain, lose, or maintain your weight. So chances are your meals are already very high in protein. If you're like me, most of my meals have about 30 to 40 grams of protein in them for each meal. So at the end of the day, thanks to MyFitnessPal, it'll tell me that I have 200-300 calories left over that I need to consume to put on lean body mass. Well, guess what? Those 300 calories that you have left over, they are yours. Do whatever you want with them, as long as they are reasonable and fit your macros for the day. So if you have X amount of carbs left over after you've already hit your protein, you can have that cheesecake. You can have those Pop-Tarts. You can have that donut. You can have anything you want, that Reese's, that Hershey bar, whatever you want, as long as it's reasonable and as long as it does not exceed your calories for the day. For instance, every morning I make protein pancakes. Every lunch I have a tuna sandwich. And every dinner I have a lot of steak with some cheese to compensate for the calories. Well, guess what? Once that's all said and done, I still have a couple hundred calories left over. What do I do to fill that? I eat Pop-Tarts. That is my snack of choice. And what this diet does is that it prevents you from having that connotation of dirty foods and clean foods. It prevents you from essentially starving yourself of those sweets all week, and then you end up binge eating on the weekends. Now, binge eating, like I said earlier, is absolutely terrible because those excess calories that you're adding to your diet, they're going to stay on you and you're going to get fat. So keep it reasonable, keep it in moderation, keep it proportionate. If you have those calories left over for the day, if you're fortunate enough to have those calories left over, feel free to get that McDouble, feel free to go to Burger King, feel free to get those fries, feel free to eat that cup of ice cream, whatever you can to hit that calorie mark for the day without exceeding your carbs, your fats, or your proteins. That is what If It Fits Your Macros is all about. If you've never tried it, I definitely urge you to try it. It is a much more realistic diet than eating grilled chicken and rice every fucking day. That is boring, and that makes me personally go insane. If It Fits Your Macros, also known as flexible dieting, is exactly what it sounds like, flexible dieting. For the most part, 90% of your day should be foods that are geared towards furthering you nutritionally and mentally and physically, whereas those extra calories that you have, you can fill that with, like I said, cheesecake, ice cream, Pop-Tarts, any carb of your choice, anything you want that fits your macros. Now, I hope you enjoyed my first video. It's about double the length that most of my videos are going to be, mostly because this is my first video and I wanted to take a second to introduce myself. But if you like my videos, if you like my advice, if I explain this out in a way that you can relate to and understand, please subscribe, please comment, please tell your friends. I would like to make this, every couple days, like a thing to post a video about advice that I've learned about nutrition, health, and fitness. So my name's Anthony, RancidFIT. Please subscribe, tell your friends, keep eating, keep lifting, and be the best that you can be every fucking day.